I was sitting in the lawyer's office when my father's will was read. The mahogany desk between us felt like a courtroom bench. My two brothers, Derek and Lance, sat on either side of me. My stepmother, Victoria, perched in the chair closest to the lawyer like she owned the place, which, apparently, she did. The lawyer, Mr. Ashton, cleared his throat and began reading. $500,000 to Derek Montgomery. My oldest brother smiled. $500,000 to Lance Montgomery. My middle brother nodded, satisfied. The remainder of the estate, including all shares in Montgomery Holdings, the family home, and all additional assets, to my beloved wife, Victoria Montgomery. Victoria's smile was thin and victorious. I waited, kept waiting. Mr. Ashton folded the document. That was it. My name hadn't been mentioned once. Not once. 20 minutes of legal language and I'd been completely erased. What about Sienna? I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. Mr. Ashton looked uncomfortable. There's no provision for you in the will. None? I'm afraid not. I looked around that office, seeing everything with sharp clarity. Derek wouldn't meet my eyes. Lance stared at his phone. Victoria examined her manicured nails like this was all very boring. There must be a mistake, I said. Mr. Ashton shook his head slowly. The will is very clear. Your father updated it 6 months before his death. You were removed. Removed. Like an outdated clause. Like something that no longer applied. Why? My voice cracked despite my best efforts. Victoria finally looked at me. Your father felt you'd made choices that didn't align with family values. The company needs to stay with people who understand business. I understand business. You're a marine biologist, dear. That's not exactly corporate leadership material. Derek shifted uncomfortably. Dad wanted the company to stay strong. This is what he thought was best. Best for who? I stood up. My chair scraped against the hardwood. For the company or for you? No one answered. Because we all knew the truth. This wasn't about business. This was about control. About punishing me for choosing science over finance. For choosing passion over profit. What they didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I already owned Montgomery Holdings. All of it. My name is Sienna Montgomery. I'm 37 years old and 3 years ago I bought my father's company. Let me explain. Montgomery Holdings was my great-grandfather's creation. A shipping and logistics empire built over 4 generations, worth approximately $6.2 billion. My father was CEO, Derek was COO, Lance was CFO. It was the family business, the thing that defined us. I was supposed to join after college, take my place in the dynasty. But I didn't. I studied marine biology, got my PhD, spent years researching ocean ecosystems. My family called it Sienna's little ocean hobby. They laughed about it at dinners, made jokes about me talking to fish, acted like I'd wasted my education. What they didn't know was that my research had commercial applications, sustainable shipping routes, eco-friendly logistics, revolutionary methods that could transform the entire industry. I patented everything. Then I sold those patents to a consortium for $8.3 billion. At 34 years old, I became a billionaire. And I used that money to do something my family never saw coming. I bought their company, quietly, carefully, completely. 3 years before my father died, Montgomery Holdings was struggling, profit margins shrinking, competition increasing, old methods failing in a new world. My father refused to innovate. We've done it this way for 80 years, he'd say. Derek and Lance agreed. They were too comfortable to change. The board was getting restless. Shareholders were unhappy. The company needed fresh blood or it would bleed out. I approached them privately, offered my research, my patents, my ideas. This could save the company, I told my father. I can modernize everything, make us leaders in sustainable shipping. He looked at me like I'd suggested we use magic. Sienna, we're not a science experiment. We're a business. Science is business now. Not our business. Derek was more direct. Stick to your fish, Sienna. Leave the real work to us. They rejected everything. every innovation, every solution, every lifeline I offered. So I took a different approach. I started buying shares, anonymously, through shell corporations and investment firms, small percentages, nothing that would trigger attention. And I waited. Over 3 years, I acquired 52% of Montgomery Holdings, controlling interest. I did it so carefully that nobody noticed. The board didn't see the pattern. My father didn't connect the dots. Derek and Lance were too busy running the company into the ground to pay attention. By the time my father got sick, I owned the company. Completely, legally, undeniably, but I didn't tell anyone. I wanted to see what would happen. Whether my father would remember me in his will, whether my brothers would speak up for me, whether anyone in my family valued me as more than a disappointment. The will reading answered that question. I'd been erased, cut out, removed, while they divided up a company that was already mine. The irony was almost beautiful. Almost, if it didn't hurt so much. After the will reading, my brothers wanted to grab lunch. "Come on, Sienna," Lance said. "Let's not make this weird." "This is already weird." Derek put his hand on my shoulder. "Dad made his choices. We're still family." Family that just inherited everything while I got nothing. "You chose a different path," Victoria interjected smoothly. "You can't expect the same rewards as those who dedicated themselves to the family business." I wanted to laugh, to scream, to tell them the truth right there. Instead, I said, "You're right. I can't expect anything from people who see me as worthless." I left before they could respond, sat in my car and called my lawyer, Patricia Nolan. They read the will, and I'm not in it, not a single mention. Patricia was quiet. "Are you ready?" "Ready for what?" "To tell them the truth, that you own the company they think they just inherited." I stared at my father's office building across the street, the Montgomery Holdings logo gleaming in the sun. "Not yet. I want to watch what they do first." Over the next month, I watched my family celebrate. Derek was named CEO. Lance remained CFO. Victoria took a board seat. They posted about it online. Honored to lead Montgomery Holdings into the future. Continuing my father's legacy. Excited for this new chapter. My name never came up. Not in posts, not in press releases, not in conversations. I was completely erased from the narrative. Friends reached out. "I heard about your father. I'm so sorry." "Thanks. Did he leave you anything?" "Nothing." "That's terrible. After everything you—" "It's fine, I'm fine." I wasn't fine, but I wasn't broken either. I was calculating, watching, waiting for the right moment. Meanwhile, Montgomery Holdings kept declining. Derek made decisions that looked good on paper but destroyed morale. Lance cut costs in ways that bled talent. Victoria pushed for dividends instead of investment. They were looting the company, slowly, surely, killing the thing they claimed to love. 3 months after my father's death, Derek called me, first time since the will reading. "Sienna, hey, how are you?" "Fine. Listen, we're having a family dinner. Mom wants everyone there. Can you come?" Mom. He called Victoria Mom like my actual mother hadn't existed. "Why?" "Because we're family. We should stick together." "Derek, I wasn't in the will. You made it clear I'm not really part of this family." "Don't be dramatic. Dad had his reasons, but we don't have to be weird about it." Weird. He thought I was being weird for being hurt about being disinherited. "I'll think about it." I went. Not because I wanted to, because I needed to see them, to confirm what I already knew. Dinner was at the family estate, the one Victoria now owned. She greeted me at the door like a gracious hostess welcoming a charity case. "Sienna, so glad you could make it." I smiled, said nothing. Dinner was excruciating. Victoria sat at the head of the table, my father's seat. Derek and Lance flanked her like guards. Their wives were there, making small talk about vacation homes and private schools. I sat at the far end, basically invisible, until dessert. Victoria tapped her wine glass. "I want to make an announcement." Everyone looked up. "As you know, Montgomery Holdings is entering a new era. We're modernizing, innovating, growing." She paused dramatically. And we'd like to invite Sienna to be part of it. I blinked. What? Derek leaned forward. We want to create a position for you. Environmental consultant. You'd advise on sustainability initiatives. Part-time, Lance added. Maybe 10 hours a week. We'd pay you $80,000 annually. They were offering me a token job. A pity position. At a company I already owned. Why? I asked carefully. Victoria smiled. Because you're family, and your father would have wanted you involved. In some capacity. In some capacity. Not as an equal, as a pet project. What do you think? Derek asked. I looked at each of them, saw the condescension in their eyes, the certainty that they were being generous. I need to think about it. I left that dinner and drove straight to Patricia's office. They offered me a job. At your own company? They don't know it's mine. Patricia leaned back. Sienna, this has gone far enough. Tell them. Not yet. Why not? Because I need them to show me who they are. Completely. Undeniably. They've already shown you. Not enough. I need more. Over the next month, I watched them destroy things. Derek fired 20 people who'd been with the company for decades. Cutting dead weight. Lance slashed research and development. We need immediate returns. Victoria pushed for a sale. Private equity is interested. We could liquidate and walk away with millions. They were killing my great-grandfather's legacy, and they had no idea they had no power to do any of it, because every major decision required board approval, and I controlled the board. Through proxies and shell corporations, I'd been voting no on everything, blocking their worst ideas, saving the company from them. They thought they were facing mysterious shareholder resistance. They had no idea it was me. 6 months after the will reading, Derek called a shareholder meeting. We need to address the activist investor situation, he announced to the board. Someone has been blocking every initiative we propose. Lance pulled up a presentation. We've tracked the voting patterns. There's a majority shareholder we don't know about, someone with 52% control. The board murmured. Concerned, confused. Derek continued. We need to identify this person and negotiate. The company can't move forward with this kind of obstruction. It's not obstruction, I said quietly from the back of the room. Everyone turned. I'd attended as my father's invited guest, a courtesy title that still gave me access. It's protection. Derek frowned. Sienna? What are you talking about? The blocking, the resistance. It's not some mysterious activist investor. I stood up. It's me. Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Lance laughed nervously. That's not funny. I'm not joking. Patricia entered the room, carrying a briefcase. Ms. Montgomery has controlling interest in Montgomery Holdings. She has for 3 years. She distributed documents. These are the share certificates, the purchase records. Everything is legal. Everything is documented. Derek grabbed the documents. Read them again. His face went from confused to pale to red. This is impossible. It's very possible, Patricia said. Sienna bought shares over 3 years, always below the reporting threshold, always through different entities. She now owns 52% of the company. Lance was shaking. You bought our company? I bought my company, I corrected. The one my great-grandfather built. The one you were running into the ground. Victoria stood up. This is fraud. No, it's capitalism, the thing you all claim to worship. I looked at Derek. You fired 20 people last month. I've been blocking it. They're still employed. I looked at Lance. You cut R&D funding. I restored it through discretionary accounts. I looked at Victoria. You wanted to sell to private equity. I voted no. This company isn't for sale. Derek's voice was hoarse. Why? Why would you do this? Because you cut me out. You treated me like nothing. You offered me $80,000 a year to consult on my own company. I stepped forward. You thought I was worthless, so I proved you were wrong. The room erupted. Everyone talking at once. Board members demanding explanations. Derek shouting about betrayal. Lance frantically calling lawyers. Victoria sitting in stunned silence. I waited for the chaos to quiet. When it finally did, I spoke calmly. Effective immediately. I'm exercising my rights as majority shareholder. Derek, you're removed as CEO. Lance, you're removed as CFO. Victoria, you're removed from the board. You can't do this, Derek shouted. I absolutely can. Check the bylaws. Patricia handed out more documents. Ms. Montgomery has every legal right to restructure leadership. The company is hers. This is insane. Lance turned to the board. You can't let her do this. One of the board members, Mr. Chen, spoke up. Actually, we've been hoping for this. The company has been declining under current leadership. If Ms. Montgomery has the expertise and the shares, she has our support. Other board members nodded. They'd been waiting for someone to save the company. Derek looked betrayed. You're siding with her? We're siding with Montgomery Holdings, Mr. Chen said firmly. As we always have. Derek tried legal action. His lawyers filed papers claiming I'd hidden my ownership maliciously. Patricia destroyed the case in 2 weeks. There's no legal requirement to announce share purchases below certain thresholds. Ms. Montgomery did nothing wrong. Lance tried to turn shareholders against me. He called meetings, sent letters, made speeches about family betrayal. But when shareholders saw the actual numbers, how much value the company had lost under his management versus how much I'd protected, they sided with me. Victoria tried the emotional route. She called me crying. Your father would be so disappointed in you. My father cut me out of his will. He was already disappointed. He loved you. He had a funny way of showing it. You're destroying his legacy. No, I'm saving it. From you. The truth was, my father's legacy wasn't a company. It was an idea that Montgomery meant excellence, innovation, leadership. Derek and Lance had turned it into mediocrity. I was bringing it back. That was the real legacy. Within 3 months, I'd completely restructured Montgomery Holdings. I brought in new leadership, people who understood sustainable shipping, eco-friendly logistics, the future of the industry. I implemented my patents, my research, everything my family had rejected. Revenue increased 23% in the first quarter. Employee satisfaction went up 40%. The company made headlines. Montgomery Holdings revolutionizes shipping with green technology. New leadership turns around struggling giant. My name was everywhere. My brothers' names disappeared. The narrative shifted completely. I wasn't the disappointment anymore. I was the savior. Meanwhile, Derek got a job at a mid-level firm, making a fraction of what he used to. Lance moved to another city, started consulting. Neither of them spoke to me. Victoria sold the family estate, moved to a condo. Her board seat and its compensation gone, she was living on my father's life insurance, much smaller than the fortune she'd expected. She sent me an email. I hope you're happy. You've destroyed this family. I replied, I didn't destroy it. I saved the only part worth saving, the company. A year after taking over, I received an unexpected visitor, Derek. He looked different, thinner, older, humbled. Can we talk? I almost said no, but curiosity won. Come in. We sat in my office, the CEO office, the one that used to be my father's. Derek looked around like he was seeing a ghost. Place looks different. I remodeled. It looks good. Silence. Then, I was wrong. I waited. About everything. About you. About the company. About what mattered. His voice cracked. I spent my whole life trying to be dad, trying to earn his approval, and I lost sight of what actually mattered. What does matter? People. Purpose. Building something that lasts for the right reasons. He looked at me. You understood that. I didn't. Why are you here, Derek? To apologize. Not to ask for anything, just to say I'm sorry for how we treated you, for cutting you out, for thinking you were less than us because you chose differently. I believed him. Thank you for saying that. Derek and I started having coffee occasionally, not regularly, just sometimes. He told me about his new job, how it was humbling but good. How he was learning to measure success differently. I'm in therapy, he admitted one day. Working through my relationship with Dad, it's hard. I bet. Did you ever go to therapy? About how he treated you? Yeah, for years. Did it help? It helped me understand that his disappointment wasn't about me. It was about him, about his inability to see value in anything that didn't look like him. Derek nodded slowly. I think I needed that same lesson. Lance never apologized. He sent one email after the company turnaround. Congrats on the success. Hope you're satisfied. I didn't respond. Some people don't change, don't want to, can't, and that's okay. I wasn't responsible for his growth, only my own. Victoria tried to contest my father's estate, claimed she deserved more. The judge threw it out. The will is clear. You have no claim beyond what was specified. She disappeared after that. I heard she moved to Florida, remarried, started over. I hoped she found whatever she was looking for. 2 years after taking over, Montgomery Holdings was worth $8.9 billion. We'd grown by $2.7 billion under my leadership. I was featured in business magazines. The marine biologist who saved a shipping empire. How science saved Montgomery Holdings. Sienna Montgomery, the CEO they didn't see coming. My family saw the articles. I know because Derek sent me one. Proud of you, sis. Really. It meant something. Not everything, but something. I expanded the company, opened new divisions, hired innovative people, built partnerships with environmental organizations. We became the industry leader in sustainable shipping, the thing my father said was impossible. The thing Derek and Lance thought was stupid. The thing Victoria thought was beneath them. I'd done it, not despite being cut out of the will, because of it. Because being rejected had freed me to be exactly who I was, without apology, without compromise, completely. People often asked how I felt about being disinherited. Angry, hurt, vindictive, all of that at first. And now I feel free. Because the truth is, I would have never taken over if I'd been included in the will. I would have felt obligated to respect my father's wishes, to maintain his vision, to be what he wanted. Being cut out released me from that obligation. It gave me permission to do it my way, to innovate, to change, to build something better than what he left. My father wanted the company to go to people who understood business. He was right. It should have. And it did. It went to me. I understood business better than any of them. I just understood it differently, with science, with innovation, with a vision for the future instead of nostalgia for the past. 3 years after the takeover, I was invited to speak at a business conference. The topic, Overcoming Family Business Challenges. I almost declined. Then I thought about all the people who'd been cut out, overlooked, dismissed, people who needed to hear that rejection isn't failure. I accepted. The room was packed. 500 entrepreneurs, business leaders, family business heirs. I told my story, all of it, being cut out of the will, owning the company they thought they inherited, taking over, revolutionizing, growing. When I finished, the standing ovation lasted 3 minutes. Afterward, dozens of people approached me. I'm the disappointment in my family, too. My father doesn't respect my ideas either. Thank you for showing us it's possible. One woman cried. My family cut me out of their company. I thought I'd failed. You didn't fail, they did, by not seeing what you were capable of. She hugged me. That made everything worth it. Derek attended my talk. I saw him in the back of the room. Afterward, he waited until everyone else had left. That was powerful. Thanks. I kept thinking about Dad, how he would have reacted to hearing it. He would have hated it. Derek smiled sadly. Yeah, he would have, but he would have been wrong. We stood there for a moment. Then Derek said something that surprised me. I'm glad he cut you out. What? Not because you deserved it. You didn't, but because it freed you. If he'd left you a piece of the company, you would have been stuck, trying to fit in, trying to make him proud. Instead, you got to be you, completely, and look what you built. He was right. Thanks, Derek. Thank you for showing me what real success looks like. Not money, not status, purpose, impact, legacy that actually means something. We parted as something closer to friends than we'd ever been as brothers. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest, and that was enough. 4 years after the takeover, I took Montgomery Holdings public. IPO price, $92 per share. We raised $3.4 billion. The company was now valued at $12.7 billion. I owned 52%, so my personal stake was worth $6.6 billion. I'd turned my $8.3 billion from the patents into nearly $7 billion in company equity. Plus, the company was actually worth something now, built on solid ground, sustainable practices, real innovation. My father's vision had been preservation. Keep things as they were. Don't change. Don't risk. Mine was transformation. Evolve or die. Innovate or disappear. Build something that matters. The market agreed with me. Stock prices climbed. Investors loved the story. The company thrived. And I finally felt like I'd honored my great-grandfather's real legacy, not the company he built, the courage he had to build it. 5 years after everything changed, I visited my father's grave, first time since the funeral. I stood there for a long time, looking at his headstone. I own your company now, the one you didn't think I was capable of running. The words hung in the air. I've grown it, changed it, made it better than you ever did, and I did it without your permission, without your approval, without your name on the will. I felt tears coming. I wish you could have seen me, really seen me, but you couldn't, and that was your loss, not mine. I left flowers. Not out of love, out of completion, out of finally being able to let go. That night, Derek called. How are you doing? Good, really good. I heard you visited Dad's grave. Yeah. How was it? Necessary. Final. Done. Good. You deserve to be done carrying that. I'm 42 now. Montgomery Holdings employs 15,000 people. We've revolutionized sustainable shipping, won environmental awards, changed industry standards. I did what my father said was impossible. I brought science into business, innovation into tradition, the future into a company stuck in the past. My relationship with Derek is good. We're not close, but we're honest. Lance and I don't speak. That's okay. Victoria is irrelevant. That's fine too. I've built a life I'm proud of, relationships that matter, work that has meaning, impact that lasts. Being cut out of the will was the best thing that ever happened to me. It hurt. God, it hurt. But it freed me. To be exactly who I was meant to be, without apology, without compromise, completely myself. And that version of me built something my father never could. A legacy that wasn't about control, about tradition, about doing things the way they'd always been done. A legacy about courage, innovation, believing that different could be better. I was cut out of the will, completely erased, disinherited, forgotten, but the company was already mine, all $6.2 billion of it, and by the time my family realized the truth, I'd turned it into $12.7 billion. They thought they were inheriting an empire. They inherited nothing, because the empire was never theirs to give. I'd bought it, built it, transformed it, while they laughed at my little ocean hobby, while they dismissed my research, while they cut me out of the family legacy. I was creating my own legacy, one they couldn't control, couldn't diminish, couldn't take away. My father wanted to punish me for choosing differently. Instead, he freed me to succeed beyond anything he accomplished. Derek learned from it. Lance didn't. Victoria disappeared. The company thrived, and I finally understood something important. Being cut out wasn't rejection. It was liberation. The freedom to build something real, something meaningful, something mine. So if your family doesn't see your worth, remember this. Their blindness doesn't define your value. It just means they're looking in the wrong direction. Keep building. Keep growing. Keep being exactly who you are. Because sometimes the best inheritance isn't what they leave you. It's what you build after they leave you nothing.